Somebody's recording, is that? It is recording. All right, so thank you. It is 7 a.m. I'll call this special meeting of the Oaks Public School Board to order. We're meeting at 7 a.m. Wednesday, August 5th of 2020 in the Oaks Public Schools conference room and via Zoom meeting for public access. We have numerous guests with us in the room as well as numerous joining us by Zoom. So welcome to all and thank you for coming this morning. We'll start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those that have joined by Zoom, I think we've identified everyone, or we're in the process of identifying everyone by first and last name. We appreciate knowing who you are when you join us. We got everybody? I can't read that far away.
I think we're missing Bob.
Okay, so Bob, Bob, whoever's joined in the name of Bob, please let us know. Are they unmuted? Okay, so can you let us know in the chat who you are, please? I think we'll proceed. So we haven't heard. All right, I think we'll proceed, but we would like to know who is joined under the name of Bob. We'll proceed. We have an agenda before us. It's a special meeting agenda, so it cannot be changed. Board members, I just want to point out to you that there is an item on the agenda that says executive session. We may not need or have any justification to go into executive session at today's meeting. However, it appears on the agenda because if we do feel the need and it's justified to go into executive session and it's not on the agenda, then it's my understanding that we would not be able to go into executive session. I'm in no way encouraging us and saying we need to, but we do have legal counsel on call for us by phone, and we can do so if it is justified and desired. So with that, we have one item on the agenda, and that is the formal grievance received from Mrs. Heimbuck. In your packet, you had all of the documents related to this. There were a letter from Mrs. Heimbuck to Mrs. Sell, Mrs. Sell's response to Mrs. Heimbuck, subsequently a letter from Mrs. Heimbuck to Dr. Steinhoff. There was a recording of a meeting that took place with Mrs. Heimbuck, Mrs. Sell, Dr. Steinhoff, and OEA representatives. A letter following that from Dr. Steinhoff with his decision, and then the letter from Mrs. Heimbuck appealing that decision to the board. All of you received that letter, I believe Mrs. Heimbuck's letter officially appealing to the board last Friday, July the 31st. And I think it was on Saturday that we received the email from Dr. Steinhoff with all of these details. We are required, according to our negotiated agreement and the formal grievance process outlined in that document, within 10 days after receiving the decision of the superintendent, an appeal can be made to the school board, which it was. And so within 10 days after receiving that written request from the aggrieved teacher, the school board, and here is our challenge today, we shall examine the complaint, consider the opinions of all parties concerned, interpret the grievance, and submit a written recommendation to the superintendent, the principal, and the aggrieved teacher. So with that, again, so that all know that we have all had this information in our possession for several days, and we have a 10-day time limit. Now is our time to examine the complaint and consider the opinions of all parties concerned. Do any board members have any questions at this time? Superintendent Steinhoff, would you like to make any statement regarding the process, your decision? Would it be appropriate for me to read your decision?
I think that would be appropriate. Okay. I would also add that, and I don't know if you mentioned in the email was also the audio file from our first informal meeting, and that was included in that.
Yes, and I listened to it twice, and I trust that all other board members have thoroughly reviewed the documents. And I'm saying this because I don't want anyone who's watching or the public to think that, well, we just got this and this is the first time we're seeing this information. We have had this in our possession, and we've been able to listen to the recording and to read the negotiated agreement and the letters. But I'll now read the grievance dated July 31st, 2020, or this is the response by Dr. Steinhoff to Mrs. Heimbuch. Dear Mrs. Heimbuch, I received your letter of formal grievance dated July 24th, 2020. I understand that you object to term 1 of your 2019-2020 teacher contract. Specifically, you seek a teaching contract for the upcoming 2020-2021 school year on the basis that your waiver of continuing contract rights was unlawful. I disagree. Your 2019-2020 teacher contract states that the continuing contract rights under North Dakota Century Code Chapter 15.1-15 are waived. This point was specifically discussed between you and me at the time the contract was signed. The waiver was based on the unique needs of the school district during the 2019-2020 school year. At the time the contract was signed, you indicated your agreement with the waiver. The continuing contract rights contained in North Dakota Century Code 15.1-15 are statutory benefits. Nothing within North Dakota Century Code 15.1-15 prohibits a waiver of the continuing contract rights. Further, North Dakota Century Code 1-02-28 specifically provides that statutory rights may be waived. To the extent you wished to receive a teaching contract for the 2020-2021 school year, I note that 2 elementary teaching openings were previously offered to you. Additionally, you were granted extra time to decide on the ELA contract 4-6 position after you requested it from me. However, you rejected both offers. Due to your 2019-2020 teacher's contract having expired, and due to you not accepting the 2020-2021 positions that were offered to you, your employment with Oaks Public School District terminated, and you have no further contract rights. Sincerely, Craig Steinhoff, Superintendent. Subsequent to that, that again was dated 7/31/20. The appeal was made as such. A letter to the Oaks Public School Board. This letter is a formal grievance to the contract of teacher Catherine Heimbuch about item number 1, term of contract of my 2019-2020 contract with the Oaks Public School District. I believe that the school district did not have the authority to place onto the contract the waiver of contract rights. Pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 15.1-1504, every teacher in North Dakota has a continuing contract right, and the only legal way to extinguish continuing contract rights is through a non-renewal discharge procedure or teacher resignation. Since neither of those things took place, I believe that I am entitled to a teaching contract for the 2020-21 school year and beyond. Sincerely, Catherine Heimbuch. So, with that, again, board members, are there any questions? Are there any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion either to affirm the superintendent's rejection of the grievance or to overturn the superintendent's rejection of the grievance. Were those appropriate languages, April?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is new ground for me. I'm in my 9th year on the school board and I've not had a grievance before, and we're trying to do things properly. I would just say that we are, you know, we are receiving, the school district acted in good faith based on legal guidance that we've received in the past, that we are allowed to issue a 1-year contract, and the teachers organization is getting conflicting legal guidance. That is not unusual. Lawyers disagree with one another many times a day, and that's why we have systems in place to resolve those disagreements. So we are in the midst of the process that we have in place. So I will need a motion from the board, either to uphold or to overturn Dr. Steinhoff's decision. And all should know that within 10 days after receiving the decision of the board, the aggrieved teacher can appeal that by requesting local mediation. And then we go on to the next step. So again, do I have a motion?
I'm gonna make the motion to uphold Dr. Steinhoff's. I mean, it's backed by what we did in good faith, and sorry, we're just gonna have to go to mediation at that point.
Okay. Bill Schmitz moves to uphold Dr. Steinhoff's rejection of Catherine Heimbach's grievance. Is there a second?
One second.
Robert Thorpe seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Bill has made a comment that we were acting in good faith.
Yeah,
I agreed.
That's up to attorneys now.
Yeah, I feel both parties, the intent of the contract when it was issued, both parties agreed to the content of the contract with full understanding of what it's said and stated.
Right. Any comments?
I think it's unfortunate that, you know, it's come to this, but, you know, we've been issuing 1-year contracts from what I understand for a few years. So I'm not sure how it got missed in the past, that this was not to be, you know, was not right. But.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I agree. We should uphold Dr. Steinhoff's decision. I think
All right.
the contract was made in good faith with both parties agreeing to it. So.
Okay. And if it is determined that that is contrary to state law through this, then we will abide by whatever is required of us. But okay, so therefore we have a motion and a second to uphold Dr. Steinhoff's decision to reject the grievance. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. April, will you please call the roll?
Rosendahl,
Yes.
Bagel,
Yes.
Thorpe,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
and Neal.
Yes, the motion passes 5-0 without having to go into executive session. So I would just like to commend our teaching staff and our administrators, OEA, and everyone who's been involved. I think everyone has behaved respectfully and professionally, using the guidance that we've been provided in the best interests of our stakeholders. I wish to maintain our good working relationship with our teachers. And I hope and expect that everyone's behavior will continue to be professional and respectful as it has been as we work through this process. And we thank you for coming and being here this morning at an early meeting, and probably see you tomorrow. With that, our agenda, or later today. With that, our meeting is adjourned at 7:15. Thank you and have a great day.